This is Daniel Poppy, host of How to Write Good. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Kim Meyer, the host of Choose to Rise here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Choose to Rise, where we talk about living with positive mindsets, how to increase our confidence, building our faith, and living out our life on purpose. A new show comes out via podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you want to catch the episode live instead, stop by Public House Media around 6:45 Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Choose to Rise. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Alright everybody, I have to put... No, I'll do what I want with my phone. Facebook's trying to tell me what to do. Not today, Facebook. Not today. Hang on a second. Oh, we did it. Hang on, we need to move this just a little tiny bit. Okay. It's No Filter Friday on Public House Media, and it is my birthday, and I look like a crazy. Because you know what? Tired. I'm tired of it, y'all. I am tired of it. I can't even explain to you in words how tired I am. But, so I can better do that, I'm going to put headphones in because I feel like you should get the real situation. Like you're getting the real visual, clearly, so you need to get the real, the sound to go with it, because that's what makes sense in 2018. Come on, headphones, work with me here. Everything is harder at this point in my life. Like, it wasn't like a soft touchdown into 30. It's like a rugged crash landing. Thank you, David Bodke. I'm sorry that I'm late. Alright, headphones are plugged in. Tell me how it sounds. Let me know. I'm trying to bone up on my iodine, trying to get my iodine game up. So I put more iodine in my my tea. So, how does it sound? I turned these down the other day. Sounds awesome. Good. Wonderful. Well, I'm not ready to give up Halloween yet. This isn't, and it looks like a high school sweatshirt, but it's not. Hawkins High School is the high school from Stranger Things. So, this is me being like Halloween festive. Basically. But, I was gone all week. I did the show last week in Austin. You know that. It's our 50th celebration episode, and it was awesome. Some fun people came out, and there was balloons, as promised. I promised balloons, and gosh darn it, there was balloons. Turns out, going to Party City and, like, ordering balloons takes way longer than I thought it did. It was like an hour process picking out and filling the right balloons, but it was definitely worth it, and I kept the banner. It's all folded up right now, but the No Filter Friday banner that I had in the background, I kept it and I flew home with it. So maybe I'll put it up. Maybe we'll have another, like a 75th episode celebration or something like that, because for podcasts, those are like mega milestones. And seeing as how the hashtag MeToo movement is going nowhere anytime soon, I think we're definitely, the goal is to hit 100. So we hit 100 episodes, then I'll think about winding it down if nothing happens. But hit 50, 50's going strong, and, excuse me, with no end in sight. So there's, when there's tea to be spilled, I'm here to spill it. But anyway, so the 50th, the 50th episode celebration was awesome. My amazing publicist, Elizabeth at Terrific PR, and Susan Rhodes helped out so much. Like, honestly, like, all I did was pick out a balloon and talk. They did everything else. Literally couldn't have done it without them. They were, like, beyond amazing. And we got to eat fun foods. Like, that wasn't really a part of the show, but Austin was on a water boiling advisory, so you couldn't even eat salad if you wanted to. So we just, like, we went carb high. Like, however many carbs we were going to have, we just kicked it up about 10 notches. We had pizza, we had wings, we had cinnamon bites, we had tortilla chips. We killed all the tortilla chips. Those were so dead. And then we had, like, every drink in the world, basically. And it was awesome. And then we had prizes. We gave away prizes, which was fun. Again, that wasn't something that you saw on the show, but it was a part of the live party. And then Elizabeth and I were talking about maybe doing that every so often. She says I think that I should do it once a month, but I think that's a bit much for me. I think it'd be like, I could probably handle doing a live show like once every 2 months and like getting prizes and like a venue to have it and like all that stuff. So maybe I will consider doing that. But it was so much fun, like having people come and like not just having like me talk or like having a guest on and them talk, but like a real like group discussion on what was going on. That was super fun. Eating more carbs than I allot myself, that was definitely fun. Having a group discussion, crazy fun. And there was balloons. Like, all of those things were really wonderful. And it was awesome. And then what else? Oh, I was supposed to stay in Austin until Monday. So I got there on Thursday. The show was on Friday. I had to fly out Saturday and I had to go to Detroit because I had a funeral to go to. But with that, because I had to make my emergency trip to Detroit, I had some birthday stuff. I had birthday stuff. I had Halloween stuff. So like, I am so dog tired. I can't even explain it to you. Steven's going on and on and on about like, we need to do things for your birthday. We need to do things for your birthday. And the only thing I have managed to do today is put this hoodie on and eat Mediterranean food twice. I had 2 different kinds of Mediterranean food today. Why? Because I'm so tired, I could fall over dead. So, again, 30th birthday was a crash landing, but I got to do birthday stuff, and my aunts, like, knocked it out of the park with the birthday stuff. They got this, if you're a Michigan person, FYI, there is a restaurant in Clarkson, Michigan, which is kind of a drive, but totally worth it. It's called The Fed, and it's an old bank, and they got us, because it was me and my cousin had a joint birthday, because her birthday's the 25th. So Jessica and I had a joint birthday, old school, like we did when we were like little kids. And we had the private room that was like in the old vault, like of this bank turned restaurant. And it was so nice. Like, my aunts have come to fully support my snobbiness and not wanting to hang out with other people in a random restaurant. So it's a bit of a drive to the Fed, but totally worth it. And when they brought, cause we ordered like lava cakes for our like birthday dessert, instead of just like sticking like a regular candle in it and calling it a day, they put like a sparkler in it, like when you order bottle service, which I thought was awesome. And we didn't have to blow it out, like it just went out. So it was fantastic. But everything else about my birthday was basically a crash landing into 30, like you would not believe. Maybe we'll unpack that bag on another show. It's kind of fresh. Like, I've been pulling like all of this. Like, my desk is like piled with paperwork and notes and like all this stuff, all these phone numbers for people. It's absolutely crazy. But I don't think this is quite ready to be a show yet, but it's definitely getting there. And I tell you what, when I do let this one loose, jaws will be on the floor. We're definitely, maybe not definitely gonna do that like live with a bunch of people in the room, but it's gonna be the gnarliest thing I've maybe ever done in my life. Is that Cheryl? Is that who came in? I can't see because I'm doing it on my phone. I almost never do the show from my phone anymore, but I had to because my laptop is still packed from the other day. Oh, and I got to do Halloween in Detroit, and it was the nicest, most beautiful, weather-wise Halloween I've ever had there. Like my entire 19 years of growing up in Michigan, Halloween rained religiously and or snowed. And it was gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I can't see who that is, unfortunately, but thank you for the happy birthday. It was gorgeous. We had a fire in the driveway, and the neighborhood children came around and like trick-or-treated. And we just had to wear hoodies, and it wasn't snowing. It was as dry as it could be. It was fantastic. Definitely nicest weather-wise Halloween I've ever seen in Michigan. So hopefully, again, if you're a Michigan person, if you were out in that Halloween, hope you got some good pictures of your costumes, because you're not getting that for another 30 years maybe. I don't know. Like, I'd never remember a Halloween that was dry or not frigid, cold, and awful and disgusting. So, awesomeness. But something that I wanted to talk about, outside of the epicness that has been this week. An article came out today, and I'll probably link it below or something. And it said that HBO is fully committing to having a intimacy coordinator, for all of their shows, because of course premium cable is known for their sex scenes. That's why they're premium cable. That's why you gotta pay more, because they're sex scenes. Let me move this person who commented because it's in the way. Anyway, so apparently in New York, there is a nonprofit organization that trains and dispatches intimacy coordinators to sets, whether they be film, television. Apparently this originated in theater, and I don't know that it's an equity mandate. Equity is the guild for theater Broadway people. Not my guild, because I don't do theater or Broadway, and I probably never will, because live stuff is not my jam. Other than this show, this is as live as it gets for me. I'm not doing any of that, get on a stage 6 days a week, and no, all that. Not doing it. Not me. That's for other people. I don't even like going to concerts. That's how much I don't like live stuff. But that's besides the point. So, apparently having intimacy coordinators for sex scenes originated in theater, and now they're making it a real, I wonder what union that would fall under, for not for equity, but for SAG. Not even necessarily SAG, but is that going to be a DGA thing or a PGA thing? Which, a Loco 608, which an ITOS thing? I'm curious to see if an intimacy coordinator becomes a role, a job that everybody has on every production that includes sex scenes. I'm wondering what union that's going to fall under, but that's just for my own producer mind, and I want to know how much these people get paid. But anyway, so this woman started this NPO in New York, and it's for intimacy coordinators, and they train them and dispatch them to these sets. And what they're there to do is to be the liaison, and help physically block the scene. When I say blocking, we say it's called blocking, but it's the coordination of the scene. You're going to cross the room here, turn around, touch the wall, or whatever it is that you're doing. That's called blocking, and we rehearse that for camera with a stand-in or with a photo double, and then the camera gets down the moves that they're going to do, and then the actors come and do it, and they work it out. But intimacy, sex scenes have to be closed sets, especially if there's nudity involved. So when you have a crew of 40, 60, 80, 100, 200, 150, whatever, depending on how big of a production you have going, non-essential positions have to get kicked out. And if there's nudity, according to SAG rules, that if there's going to be any stills, that has to be worked out in your contracts and writers before the day of the shoot. And if you're nudity doubling for someone, SAG stipulates that if you are a nudity stand-in, I've done this for a few people. I did it for a woman on an HBO pilot, and then a couple other things. But I've done parts doubling for various people. But for nudity doubling, say an actress is, you know, on a show or a movie and she doesn't want to show her boobs or she doesn't want to show her butt or whatever it is that she doesn't want to do. They bring in someone who can double for them and be like, oh, that's totally Scarlett Johansson's butt, or oh, that's totally Ava Green's boobs, or whoever it is. But SAG stipulates that if you're going to double with nudity, you get whatever the actor gets. So they take that actor's contract, they slice it up what that person would be making per day, because if you're doing like a movie, you know, say, you know, you're Jennifer Lawrence and you get $20 million a movie, they pitch it out like per week. Or if you're doing a television show, you get paid per the episode. So if that person's getting, you know, $35,000 for that episode and it takes them a week to shoot it, then you get whatever it is. You get what I'm saying. You guys know what prorating is. But anyway, so that's your rate per day is the same as the actor that you're doubling for if you're doubling with nudity. And I've done that on a lot of stuff, and I can't say that I've ever had an intimacy coordinator. But I think I'm like somebody who's I was just reading an Anna Kendrick's book about a time where she picked out her butt double for a movie. It seems like such an awkward thing to do, picking your butt for a movie. It's not. It's not awkward at all. And a lot of people, doubling, not necessarily with nudity, but doubling happens a lot for commercials. Like, I've doubled for Miranda Kerr on commercials. I've doubled for Larissa Hoffman on commercials. I don't do a ton of doubling for people that aren't supermodels because I'm 5'9" and most actresses are short. But I've done a lot of hand doubling, a lot of hands and legs. I've done hands for like Teen Wolf. I went and like, you'll do like a B unit day. And if like one of their, you know, actresses was holding a cell phone and they're doing a really pushed in shot on that cell phone, and it's just your hand, they're going to have their, you know, their series regular actress someplace else doing A unit stuff. And my hands are cheaper than her hands. So this is what they get. I've done a lot of hand doubling for people. I've lug doubled for Sandra Bernhard. But that was, I mean, I was wearing pants. It was like barely it was barely a leg doubling job, but, I was on the show years and years ago. But it was a shot where she was like the teacher of a class, but her walking through the class was just from the waist down. So you couldn't necessarily tell that it was Sandra Bernhard because you're not going to see her face. So I went and walked around the class in her wardrobe. Jason Alves, I thought I recognized those Teen Wolf fans. Oh God, that was such a strange show because they like cut off all of our nails and made us wear this like really ugly Deborah Lippman color. Oh gosh, it was awful. But yeah, so I've doubled for a few people, but it's really common in commercials. But it's like if Kate Hudson's doing, you know, an Almay commercial and it's just her mouth, it's gonna be a lip double or a chin double or a teeth double or whatever, because Kate Hudson's lips, teeth, and chin are expensive, but doubles are not. But even when I was doubling somebody with nudity, I don't ever remember having an intimacy coordinator, and I've worked on an HBO show. So maybe because I was doubling, like they didn't care, like, she can just do whatever. Granted, I'm super, super comfortable, but I think having an intimacy coordinator is really important and really helpful. Because just because somebody like me, who is very experienced with nudity and intimacy scenes, sex scenes, whatever, doesn't mean the other actors on the show are. I worked on this Crackle show a long time ago, and I had a sex scene with the series regular, and he was petrified. Most sex scenes are way, way worse on guys than they are on women, in my opinion. But he was petrified. He was like, knocking on my dressing room door asking if we could do like closeness acting exercises so he could get more comfortable. And I'm like, I mean, we can, but I don't know if that's going to help you. And the director of that had never directed a sex scene before. And he was out of his mind uncomfortable. Like, he couldn't even talk to me. Like, there was a shot, when they moved the camera, there was a shot where my boob would have been, like, way in it. And he's like, could you... He's, like, making gestures with his hands, like, cupping. He's like, could you maybe... Like, couldn't even say words to me. Like, hey, man, can someone pick up her boob? Or can you pick up your boob? Because it's in the shot and we don't need it to be. This is crackle. Like, I was wearing pasties, but it was still too much for their network standards and practices. But he was so crazy uncomfortable. And I think having a liaison, like, I think if he had an intimacy coordinator and a liaison that wasn't just a first AD, to be the go-between of like, hey, could you do this? Or can you do that? Or we need to move camera and go this way or whatever. Like, my thing is always like, what's the funniest? Because I live and breathe for laughs, basically. But for other people that have these, like, serious sex scenes to do, like, they really want to get through it. And, like, this is so terrible, and I feel like I'm telling this guy's business, but he was such a wonderful actor, and I still feel so bad for him. But, like, for guys, like, when you're doing nudity, you can't do, like, nudity. Like, you have to, like, cover things in accordance with, like, porn laws, basically. So... You know, like, they'll give you, it's called, like, a crotch patch. Like, they basically put, like, a large Band-Aid over your vagina or, like, pasties on your nipples or whatever. But for guys, the costumer makes them a sock. And sometimes, like, it's a real, like, a pouch of fabric and it has, like, a tie on it. But other times, like, they'll take, like, a dress sock, 'cause it's smoother. And they'll be like, all right, measure out what you need, let me know, and then they tape it to them. So this scene was, the guy had like, hang on, I'm gonna use my Tiffany pencil bag as an example here. Hold on to your hats. Okay, Tiffany pencil bag. So it was, you know, clearly larger than this, but like, it was a drawstring, so it would go like that around his, the base of his, man parts, basically. And then they would tape it to him a little bit. But we were shooting in this old stage that is now defunct called Lacey Studios. And it was so crazy hot and humid in there. Like, we were sweating through our pasties and stuff. It was absolutely awful. And it was kind of like a vigorous situation. And like mid-take, his sock comes off and goes pee across the room. And he like got off of me, brought it, like took the sheet over him. He was like mortified, embarrassed. And then like the costumer had to like run and like, I mean, this Lacey Studios was nasty. It was a nasty, gross place to shoot. They shot part of, one of those movies, Saw. Like, it was a grimy place to shoot, but it was meant to look grimy. It worked for the things there. I've shot tons of stuff there. I shot the, Snoop Dogg's video for Upside Down there, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point. So the costumer is like running, trying to find like where the sock had gone and like in the slats of this old gross floor, and then had to like pick it up, dust it off. All right, put it back on, and then like tape it. And this poor actor was just mortified. The director was beside himself, had no idea what to do. They're like, okay, hold the work. We gotta find the sock. It was like, I'm fine because I'm filthy and nothing bothers me, basically. But this poor dude, I tell you what. But had we had an intimacy coordinator that could have maybe mitigated the humiliation of this poor guy, probably would have been a really, really great idea. So with that being said, I emailed that MPO and I totally want to work with them because I definitely love this idea of an intimacy coordinator, not only for like interdepartmental communication purposes, but also for legal purposes, and make sure everybody's like nudity writer and all that stuff is like ironed out perfectly and good to go. Because although I'm snobby all the time, I'm definitely extra snobby when I'm doing nudity, because that's just my personality, basically. But besides it being my personality, is because you really have to force a lot of sets to treat you like just like any other actor. Because I did this, okay, I worked in this movie a long time ago called Rampart, and it's a really, really crazy movie. Ben Foster, Woody Harrelson, Cynthia Nixon, Anne Heche, like a bunch of really, you know, heavy duty, heavy lifting type of actors. And it was directed by Oren Moverman, who's a real weirdo. He's a great guy. He's a very creative, wonderful director, but he's, in the words of Kathy Bates in Waterboy, he ain't got what you call the social skills, which is fine. Whatever. A lot of people don't. Great director, maybe not so great at communicating. So he was always like super, super, super quiet, and he would like whisper to his first AD, and then his first AD would come over and whisper to everybody else. Like, really interesting situation. So, and then like Woody Harrelson has a list of demands a mile long. Like, Woody Harrelson is on like diva level, is like up there with Mariah Carey, like maybe even worse. So, but like, there's lots of moving parts going around here, but basically, we were shooting in this old, nasty, old, like, slaughterhouse in downtown LA in the winter, in the rain, night shoot. We did, like, 16 hours. It was so, like, the location was so grimy. But it fit the movie about what Rampart was like in LA in the 90s. So, me, and I'll say, like, 6 other people, we had this, like, group sex scene at this party while Woody Harrelson watched. If you haven't seen Rampart, go check it out. But the PA that had come to get us, like, from the trailer was like, oh, so are you guys, like, all porn stars? And we're like, no. None of us are porn stars. We're all actors, like, for real. I don't know if you looked at our contracts or our paperwork today, but you're paying us a stack of cash to do this. And it's all union stuff. So no, none of us are porn stars. And he's like, oh no, everyone thinks you're porn stars. We didn't prepare for like actors. We thought you guys could just do whatever. And we're like, no, that's not at all what's happening. So we had to work some pasties and band-aids and corks and stuff like that. And we put it together, but intimacy coordinator would have been real great for everybody in that situation. But that's another thing, is like making sure that like everybody's like on the same level. And, you know, sometimes when people, like when you're booked on a job where you're comfortable with nudity, you're comfortable with sex scenes and stuff like that, it truly doesn't bother me. I totally understand why other people were like, oh my God, I would never do nudity. That's so scary. I get it. I don't think anybody should be doing anything that they're not comfortable with. But with that being said, like having someone there to like keep everything on a level playing field and keep an eye on everybody, not just from the producing staff, not just from the directorial department, not just like a union rep from SAG, but like somebody who has everybody's best interest in mind, is an excellent idea. I feel like, I don't know. I've done so many sex scenes. I could have stories for days on this. But that is the birthday episode of No Filter Friday on Public House Media. Thanks for coming by. I think I'm going to post that article because I did email that NPO, and I will, when they get back to me, we will do an update on that in another episode. So see you later, kids. Bye, 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 bye.